5 nautical vessels to improve on dredging operations of the Douala Port Authority are commissioned by Prime Minister Joseph John Gote today. The multifunctional equipment will boost economic activity in the Semak sub-region and beyond. A separatist fighter, General Ayeke, is overwhelmed alongside 15 of his comrades in an operation led by the 2nd Military Region in LEBIALEM Division of the Southwest Region. Weapons and military gadgets are also seized during the operation. Vaccination protects children from serious illness and complications of vaccine-preventable diseases. As the enlarged program for vaccination against poliomyelitis continues in Cameroon, the 7:30 News probes on how vital vaccines are to create antibodies. Those are the headlines of the 7:30 News. Thanks for joining us.
Each of us must comply with the measures that have been taken.
Five nautical vessels acquired by the Douala Port Authority have been inaugurated by Prime Minister Joseph John Gote. The equipment will permit the port carry out dredging along the main water channels into Cameroon, an activity hitherto handled by foreign companies at high cost. The inauguration of the vessels, worth 45 billion CFA francs, was witnessed by a cream of personalities at the port of Douala today. Christian Che Atam has the details.
The inauguration ceremony of the 5 nautical vessels acquired by the Douala Port Authority, which was presided by Prime Minister Joseph John Gote, was attended by some members of government, administrative officials, and traditional leaders of the littoral. It opened with a speech by the Director General of the Douala Port Authority, Cyrus Ngoo, who presented the 5 newly acquired nautical vehicles: a buoy vessel and a buoyage support vessel, a mooring vessel, a cutting suction dredger and a suction hooper dredger. The GM said the equipment, which cost over 45 billion francs, will be used for dredging the water channel, providing navigational aid to vessels and reducing water pollution in the port of Douala. He said the equipment will increase the competitiveness of the Douala port vis-à-vis other ports in the region, but will also ensure Cameroon's sovereignty over the dredging of the water channel into the country. The speech was followed by a ritual performed by Sawa traditional rulers of Uvuri, who poured libations on the 5 vessels and delivered a message from King Aqua. Prime Minister Joseph John Gote then proceeded with the official inauguration of the vessels, which marked a new step in the modernization of the Douala port. During the inauguration ceremony, meritorious workers of the Douala port were decorated.
Prime Minister Joseph John Gote used the inauguration of the nautical vessels to hail the efforts of the Douala Port Authority to modernize the structure. He commended the reforms made in logistic, security and transport sectors, which will make the port a reference in West and Central Africa. Take a listen.
I've had a very interesting visit to Douala, particularly to the port of Douala. It's been very edifying. I've seen for myself the usefulness of the equipment that the port has acquired, the dredger amongst others. It's going to help to propel the Douala port into a real center of activity in West Africa and in Central Africa. I think the port of Douala is modernizing itself with all the reforms in terms of security, in terms of logistics, in terms of transport, and it's been very interesting to see, and I'm going to report very positively to the President of the Republic that his reforms are being carried out here in Douala in the port.
Prior to today's commissioning of the maritime equipment at the Douala port, the Prime Minister head of government went on a guided tour of the Douala Bonaberi port. Chief Dr. Joseph John Gute was shown around the different facilities of the dock and presented some projects currently under execution to update the port. Christian Chatham once again with the details.
Prime Minister Joseph John Gute was first taken to some road construction project sites within the port. The low-cost new technology roads are aimed at fluidifying traffic within the port and easing the stocking and clearance of goods by different companies operating in the structure. The port authorities explained that the illegal occupation of land within the port is slowing down the road construction project, but they are ready to dislodge the occupants. The Prime Minister also visited the container terminal of the port, managed today by a unit put in place by the Port Authority with satisfying results and more commitment to renovate facilities. The petroleum dolphin, damaged in 2001, which has been renovated, was also brought to the PM's notice. The dolphin today allows the safe landing of petroleum tankers, reducing the risk of damage or fire outbreaks in the port. Joseph John Gute also visited the task force set up to secure operations at the Douala Bonaberi port. The project has seen the installation of over 400 surveillance cameras as well as the recruitment of security guards. The security task force has drastically reduced the theft of cereals and other materials in the port and is gradually helping to restore the image and credibility of the Douala port. The guided tour was also an occasion for the Prime Minister to be briefed on the 28 weighing stations under construction in the Douala port, the modern gates to screen persons and goods entering and leaving the port, as well as improvements being made on the different docks.
The devices that go operational at the Douala Seaport today is a major achievement which will boost the dredging operations of the platform. The multifunctional vessels will enable the port to generate income and step up economic activity in the Semak sub-region. Alphonse Abongwa has details of the highly performant equipment attributed names of Cameroon's geographical features.
A new page turns in the life of Cameroon's economy with the acquisition of the latest nautical vessels by the Port Authority of Douala. Actors of the economic sector are upbeat on the changes that this will bring.
Firstly, more money from our economy because dredging of the port was done by expatriates and all the benefits were repatriated. Today it is an enormous gain in terms of income, and this income can be used for other goals. These vessels will permit us to boost the entire economy of the sub-region.
The rehabilitated petroleum products post, also visited by the PM, comes with remarkable changes.
The advantage of is that it will reduce the cost of shipment. Now with this investment, we will reduce it by 30% because the time of waiting will be reduced of 30%.
The coming of these new equipment therefore upgrade the Douala Seaport to a more attractive, competitive and state-of-the-art infrastructure capable of managing its own dredging operations.
In economic news, the execution of the 2019 state budget, which stands at 93.6%, has been described as unsatisfactory by economists who recommend a review of rational spending. Although there are some sectors that perform better and met their targets as compared to 2018, there is need for action which will step up the budget execution. Clarice Arei-Takang explains how.
It was voted 4,850.5 billion CFA francs, and the budgetary review took it up to 5,212 billion CFA francs. The 2019 state budget was implemented with a number of specifics, points of interest at the domestic and international levels. The less than expected revenue mobilization has been attributed to failure to meet domestic funding and borrowing targets.
Concerning revenue, there are many unexploited sources from which the state can mobilize funds. For example, non-tax revenue. More should be done in this regard. At the level of expenses, emergency procedures should be the exception and not the rule. Projects should be given time to mature so that normal mechanisms are enforced. Public spending should be rational.
The outcome of the one-bank transfer, the dematerialization of pay vouchers, and the fight against ghost workers has been hailed, enabling the state to secure much-needed cash. While various sectors had different fates on the revenue scale, experts say follow-up in the award of public contracts and strategic spending should be scrupulously enforced in order to reconcile budget expenditure with goals to attain.
In a running series on the book industry, we focus on the necessity for the state to assist publishers in order to guarantee a timely and steady supply of textbooks throughout the school year. One of the recommendations made by publishers and book dealers is the creation of companies specialized in the transformation of wood into paper, as well as investments in industrial equipment. Beatrice Ngum has the details.
Year in, year out, complaints abound about unavailability of school textbooks in Cameroon, and when they are available, parents say they are expensive. Book dealers hope government will shake a leg in tackling the issue.
If we're able to do things in a way that the book company here can be developed, then most of the money that goes abroad will be spent at home and the books will be sold at a cheaper rate. Government should also consider investing in the printing sector.
We have the lack of technicians, we have the lack of machines.
Publishers expect a great deal of work to be done in this sector.
They just put their books in the boat, come and sell it to the distributors and bookshops, collect their money and go away.
It's the role for state to make the education for the young Cameroonian. It's very, very important.
The publishers and book dealers are also requesting for substantial government investment in high-performance, ultra-modern machines that can print millions of books a day.
We'll now take you to the Northwest region, where more and more schools are opening their doors in Bamenda, especially where for the past 3 years, schools have been halted due to the socio-economic crisis. Details with Karin Tosa.
In most schools in Bamenda, the turnout of teachers and learners in the second week of schools is quite remarkable. Education officials say the turnout of school-attending children is encouraging as compared to what obtained last year.
At the end of the first week of last year, we had just 3,139 students. At the start of the second week, we have 23,848 students. This time last year, we had just 38 colleges that had opened their doors and received students. But as at now, we have 110 colleges across the region.
This time around, 1 week after the opening last year, I had just a little bit above 5,000 children. 1 week after the opening, I have 55,000 children plus.
They have appealed to parents who are still hesitant to join the back-to-school campaign.
But children who are still at home, they're doing the wrong thing. They should catch up very fast, so they will not be obliged to have so much of materials to catch up with others.
Education officials in the region say they are working with the administration to relocate school children in areas where classrooms were destroyed in order to ensure that schools fully operate in all parts of the region.
We'll stay in the Northwest region, where thousands of pupils in Donga Mantung Division have received didactic material, books and COVID-19 preventive kits to enable them have a hitch-free school resumption. This is thanks to the Donga Mantung Scholarship Fund initiated by Dr. Fu Kalistus Gentry. Joyce Kimbe-Fuwaju reports that the recruitment of some PTA teachers have also enabled that classes can begin in Du, Ako, Mwa and Nkambe.
Euphoria and enthusiasm throughout Dongan Mantung Division. Hundreds of schools, thousands of pupils and students receive over 18 million CFA francs cash prizes, books and didactic material, COVID-19 prevention kits. The initiator of the fund, Dr. Fu Kalistus Gentry, is hailed in the division.
I'm so happy about it because that money is going to help me a lot because I really have nothing.
After receiving my prize, I feel very anxious. I'm determined to go ahead and continue my school.
Unprecedentedly triggered school resumption this year, even in Du, Ako and Tumbo that had resisted school resumption in the past.
This program, if it did not exist, it was necessary for creation because this program has done us a lot of things which we cannot quantify.
The motive is to credit excellence and hitch-free schooling in the Dongan Mantung Division.
The winner of the Best ICT project, who grabbed the special prize of the President of the Republic, has been honored by the elite of LEBIALEM division. Nzometia Nevis Tetop designed a printer called E-Waste 3D, which can be used for mechanics and robotics. He was received in audience by the Minister Delegate to the Minister of the Economy, Planning and Regional Development, Paul Tassong. Victor Siga tells us more.
Blessing of success for Nzometia Tetop Nevis, who recently emerged winner of the ICT award instituted by the head of state. He hails from LEBIALEM Southwest region.
The project that I work on is an e-waste 3D printer. The prototype is a project that is under research, and we are testing to see what we can better improve on it.
In a gathering with the Minister Delegate to the Ministry of Economy, Planning and Regional Development, Paul Tassong, an elite of the division, the 22-year-old ICT engineer has been encouraged to keep the flame burning.
It was time to celebrate something coming from LEBIALEM, contrary to what we've had in the recent past, where many people think only bad news comes out of our division.
Nzometia Tetop Nevis invented the e-waste 3D printer for education.
As announced in one of our top stories, a renowned separatist fighter has been killed in Besali in LEBIALEM division of the Southwest region. General Ayeke and 15 of his colleagues were overwhelmed in a special military operation coordinated by the 2nd Military Region. Henry Macaulay reports that weapons and other were also seized during the two-day manhunt.
According to military officials, General Ayeke, a native of LEBIALEM, was killed in a special operation that lasted 2 days. During the battle that was reported to be fierce, 13 people were liberated, amongst them 3 women who were being used as sex slaves. That is according to the military. That aside, the military equally seized 2 guns and over 350 ammunitions, as well as amulets.
Chiefs have abandoned LEBIALEM. Youth have been destroyed because this man was there. Today, let me seize this opportunity not only to congratulate the forces of one another and to advise all the population of LEBIALEM living in Kumbak, hiding themselves in Kumbak. Now they can go back safely in their various villages.
The body of General Ayeke and some of the freed hostages were transported to Kumba by a military helicopter. According to sources, General Ayeke used to be the immediate assistant to the notorious Field Marshal of the Red Dragons. Ayeke is reported to have decamped from Field Marshal's group to form his own camp at Besali in Wabane subdivision after a series of disputes.
In health news, Cameroon has been declared wild polio-free, but other forms of poliomyelitis are still in circulation. Reason why the Minister of Public Health, Manawuda Malashi, has underscored during a press briefing that the enlarged immunization against polio will continue in the country. This concerns the East, Far North, Littoral Center and North regions, where the campaign will be carried out door-to-door and in schools. Rahanatu Sali reports.
For sure, Cameroon has been declared wild polio-free, but other forms are still circulating, as explained by the Minister of Public Health.
The government, through the expanded program on immunization, has organized 2 rounds of vaccination campaign to contain the current type 2 polio endemic.
The second wave of the polio vaccine has been launched for the Center, East, Far North, Littoral and North regions. Minister Manawuda Malashi of Public Health is thus encouraging parents to allow their kids to get vaccinated.
The aim of this response campaign was to strengthen health immunity in children under 5 years of age.
The campaign operations are carried out following several strategies, including door-to-door vaccination in schools, homes and public places. Manawuda Malashi adds that there isn't any cure to the polio virus, but it is preventable through the vaccine, and thus calls on parents to collaborate with health personnel.
The importance of vaccines cannot be undermined as it boosts the immune system and the creation of antibodies to fight against illness and diseases. Once the immune system knows how to fight a disease, it can protect children for many years. Yoti Kalelisonga in the following report reveals the importance of vaccines.
Like the cry of a newborn is eagerly awaited to indicate life, so too are vaccines important for an infant's survival. The prick of a needle, not the baby's best experience of life after delivery, but the pain is worth the gain.
Because babies are more exposed due to their immunity that is still not really very active. There are some vaccines that we administer 1 hour after birth, which is the BCG, which confers immunity against tuberculosis. We have the pneumo vaccine, penta vaccine, which is a 5-in-1 vaccine.
Vaccinations keep a child healthier than how they would be if they were not vaccinated.
By vaccinating babies, not only is the infant mortality rate reduced, but the society as a whole is safe.
Polio is one of those diseases that we have succeeded to eradicate through vaccination.
Nevertheless, vaccines are important for everybody, be it baby or adult.
Vaccines from 0 to 9 months in Cameroon are free, while booster doses are paid for.
The wearing of face masks in public places will be mandatory until further notice.
Persons who have tested positive for the coronavirus and others who are mentally disturbed about the spread of the virus can use the new toll-free number 1511 to express their worries. That is a forum where they can have all answers to their questions. But how does this number function? Baldwin Sama and his guest, Dr. Eric Tandy, will be explaining from the Public Health Emergency Operations Center. Hello, Baldwin. If I dial 1511, who do I get to?
Good evening to you, Esther Kima. For the last 8 months, Cameroonians have been used to the toll-free number 1510 in this call center where we find ourselves this evening, where they had many answers as to the many worries they had as concerns what the coronavirus is all about. Now they should get used to this new toll-free number 1511. What is it all about? We shall discuss that with Dr. Eric Tandy, a public health expert who is our guest this evening. Good evening to you, Doctor.
Yes, good evening, Baldwin.
Why the need of 1511 when we already have 1510 talking about the coronavirus?
Yeah, I should first of all applaud the initiative by the government to employ this 1511 number, which is very, very important. And what is it all about? It's all about mental health assistance to the general population, you know. Especially with COVID-19, each and every one of us has experienced a degree of mental stress to an extent. And with the coming of this 1511, it is a specialized number where you could seek assistance free of charge. I should insist here that you just need to call. It's just like 1510, where you call to get general information about perhaps location where you could get yourself tested for COVID-19, but 1511 gives specific psychological first aid as far as any worries for COVID-19 is concerned. So it is an initiative for the government to bring in this 1510 because of this 1511, because we've noticed a lot of irregularities as far as psychological assistance is needed.
And how is it going to be operational? How long is it going to last?
Yeah, but you know, when we started with 1510, it was level of the central level. But then with time, based on the need, based on the request, it went to the region. It's the same thing with 1511. It all depends on the need for the population that can determine. It can even be after post-COVID, but we don't know. We cannot yet talk about post-COVID, but for now, it is there, and it is there at all times to assist the population. So the population should not hesitate. As far as they notice any psychological issue, they should call 1511, and specialized personnel will be there to respond to their worries.
Thank you so much, Dr. Eric Tandy. As compared to 1510, where the call center is here at the Public Health Emergency Operations Center, the call center for 1511 is at the Red Cross, not far from this Public Health Emergency Operations Center. Back to you, Esther Kima.
Sama for those details, because getting the coronavirus could be quite traumatizing, and so 1511 is a welcome initiative to provide psychological assistance. We now take you to the West region. Disaster prevention and disaster prevention has come on the review in the region in the course of festivities to mark the World Disaster Risk Reduction Day. In remembrance of last October's landslide in Kwache, and houses and farmland destroyed, CRTV Bafusam in the West region has organized a special program. Chanceline Nanze tells us more.
This is Ngwashe, almost a year later. It is difficult to believe that this area ever hosted a house. The memories of that famous October 28 night keep haunting the victims even after moving to a new location.
It is an unforgettable thing. I can never forget those who died. The images keep playing in my mind because the rubble buried many people.
While still living in the temporary lodging facilities provided by the state and some members of the elite of the MIFI, the survivors have begun constructions on the resettlement site in Bamungum.
I came this morning to start molding bricks. It is always better to start because the strength to continue will come.
In the meantime, council authorities are taking measures to prevent a repeat of Ngwashe in other neighborhoods in Bafusam, a concrete example being the demolition of houses in high-risk zones in the town.
The semi-finalist of the 2020 Concord Best Writer competition, Amal Jaili Amadou, has presented a publication to the Minister of Arts and Culture. During an audience granted her today by Minister Bedung Pats, the 45-year-old author of L'Art de Partager un Mari was encouraged for her creativity. Victor Siga reports.
The purpose of the meeting was to hail the prowess of a great writer, Amal Jaili Amadou, for giving Cameroon a figurative representation in the world through her writing.
I want to thank the minister for the constant support. I am proud to make my country known worldwide.
Author of many books, among which L'Art de Partager Marie, Les Impatients à Mounia, Les Lames de la Patience, she portrays the challenges faced by women in her society.
The objective of all the themes is to create awareness on some of the pains women go through, like early and forced marriages and the negative impact of polygamous marriages on the girl child.
Born in 1975, her hard work has earned her national acclaim and the Medal of the National Order of Valor. Amal Jaili Amadou hails from Marua, Far North Region, Cameroon.
In sports, the Intermediate Lions of Cameroon have pulled a 0-all tie with the Bright Stars of South Sudan in a return leg friendly today in Yaoundé. The encounter was part of preparations for the 2021 African Nations Championship in Cameroon. Romeo Kenny has details of the match.
A lost game for the Intermediate Lions of Cameroon in terms of interchangeable passes. But Captain Yannick Bongan made Takanstyle to impose supremacy against the Bright Stars of South Sudan. Solicited for his prowess, 17-year-old Yahya Abdullahi fell short of glory on several occasions to get the curtain raiser.
And the Cameroonians are chasing the ball at the moment. This is Yahya Abdullahi.
A 0-all draw at first half. The South Sudanese engaged the second segment with vitality and rigor, but couldn't maintain steam. Meantime, the entry of 18-year-old PWD goal poacher Chindo John Bosco raised hope for host team with a litany of fruitless strikes. A series of errors almost corrected by Bright Stars forward Tito Okelo at stoppage time. A goalless tie after final whistle. Both selections have hence shared spoils in a back-to-back confrontation.
5 nautical vessels to improve on dredging operations of the Douala Port Authority have been commissioned by Prime Minister Joseph John-Gote today. The multifunctional equipment will boost economic activity in the Semak sub-region and beyond. That was our main story today on the 7:30 News. More news comes up at 8:30 p.m. with Adan Bala. I'll be back tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. God willing. Good night and thanks for watching. Stay tuned to our programs on CRTV.
In this connection, we should avoid stigmatizing.
CRTV News, ici, toute l'info.